and the ignorant and the uninformed. To say that someone is a racist for speaking out against proposed tyrannical laws just because we have a black president, to me, is the most repulsive and un-American thing that could possibly be said. And I saw a thing on CNN the other night that said the largest rising hate group in America is patriots. Our mainstream media, influenced by our government, calls each and every one of us a domestic terrorist. We need to go ahead and stop worrying about that and trying to fend that off. And we need to go ahead and be honored with that. My name is Shane Dyson. I'm a domestic terrorist against tyrannical governments. Amen? My AR-15 and my AK-47 and my SKS and my shotguns and my handguns are not weapons of mass killing. They are not tools of murder. Mentally deranged maniacs are tools of murder. They are weapons of mass killing. We have a government that now stands on the graves of innocents that are killed by maniacs to take advantage of a manufactured situation, a manufactured problem, to implement a solution that they want. Problem, reaction, solution. I'm not saying that the events at Sandy Hook were staged and that they were truly a false flag event, but I think everybody with any shred of common sense knows we don't know what happened in Sandy Hook. Have you seen a picture of one dead child? Have you seen one picture of Adam Lanza holding an assault rifle? I do not deny that children were killed in Sandy Hook. I'm in no position to do that. I only speak with facts. But I will tell you that even if the government's version of events is true and correct, just because there's a maniacal, deranged maniac commits a horrible crime with a weapon, that does not mean we lose our rights. And these elected officials and politicians that are selling us out across this land, they are standing on the graves of the innocents that were killed in order to disarm you, to advance their tyrannical structure around you. A lot of people think I'm out of my mind when I say these things. I've actually lost some friends over this. But if you just do a little research, and I'll give you one talking point. Everybody's afraid of it, but I encourage everybody to go to departmentofhomelandsecurity.gov. Go ahead and log in there and read what is in front of you to read. If you're a God-fearing, patriotic American and you believe in your right to keep and bear arms, you are now considered a domestic threat to this country. That should outrage all of us. There should be 25,000 people here pissed off. And so, because there's not 25,000 people here, it is our duty as the informed to spread the word and educate everybody we come across. We get so caught up in trying to just live our lives and be happy. We have to realize that we are now in a time where the freedoms that we enjoy to go fishing and hang out with your buddies and have a cold beer and spend most of your free time that you can with your wife, those days are gone. If you want to be free and you want to live in a free America and you want your children to be free, we now have to set time aside every day, whether it's on the computer, talking to our neighbors, going down and talking to our city council. We really have a burden to bear, because if we do not win the information war, and let me preface this statement with, nothing I say up here is outside the lines of a peaceable protest. I am a peaceful man. I am petitioning the government peaceably. But if they're attacking us for our rights, I am not afraid to say there will be a line drawn in the sand by patriots of my cloth and myself. Period. If that makes me a threat to this government, then I'll claim it. They need to leave us the hell alone. There's nothing that they're going to get from trying to take our gun rights, except civil unrest. And unfortunately, they know that, and that's what they want. So we must be restrained and use our voice, and so that we don't not forced into that situation of actually having a federal official or a state official under federal rule knocking on your door wanting to categorize your guns or wanting to ask you questions that they have no business asking you. I've got so much to say that I could keep you here until next week. That's how bad this is. That's how corrupt our government and our media have become. The greatest and most honorable and highly decorated military sniper of all time, Chris Kyle, was tragically killed, and our government did not even mention his name. Our president did not even acknowledge that this man was killed. But we make superstars out of maniacal maniacs, and we put their face on the news all day, every day. We send delegates down to Venezuela to honor a tyrannical dictator. Why would we send a delegate from America to pay homage to a socialist dictator? I'll tell you why. Because our government admires that regime. Our government wants to be socialist. Our government wants to control your health care, take your guns, tell you what time you can leave your house, how many miles you can drive. It's not just about gun rights. This is just the one thing that's got everybody willing to speak out, because they're like, whoa, they want our guns. Well, it's not just about the guns. This is a plan that has been in the hands of the psychopaths that control and own the banks, that through that control and own the governments, that own the media, and through the propaganda, that's how they get the compliance of the ignorant American. There are some people that need to be drug out of Washington right now and tried for treason against the United States, and I'm not afraid to say it. And I'm going to name them. I'm going to call them out. We hear of impeachment of our president. To impeach Barack Obama would just imply he was ever qualified to hold office to begin with, and for that he should be drug out of the White House and tried for treason against the United States. Period. I'm not going to ever pay a premium to nationalize health care, and they can fine the hell out of me. I'll never pay a fine. I'll never take the health care. Period. I don't care what gun laws they impose. You're not getting my magazines. I'll never be forced to carry 7 rounds in a 30-round mag. And I'll never let somebody call my Armalite rifle an assault rifle. AR does not stand for assault rifle. It's Armalite. They make 22 caliber Armalites. They make 308s, 223. All of this that is happening and the momentum that we have against us is based in ignorance. I got a good friend of mine that I used to fish with all the time in East Texas. We'd be sitting in my boat in the spring catching bluegills while they're on the beds, having a great time catching shellcracker brim, talking about America and gun rights and hunting and fishing. He was all for it. He was my buddy. I just deleted him off my Facebook page because he sent me a message that said he was tired of all of my pro-gun crap and that no American needs a semi-automatic machine gun. For one, there's no such thing. He's been watching CNN. He's talking about semi-automatic machine guns. So, and that was a really stark reminder to me how all these lies and this propaganda is effective on people that don't know the history of this great country. So many men have died horrible deaths and shed so much blood to guarantee the freedoms that the government is now trying to take away. Senator Dianne Feinstein, Democratic representative out of California. This is a 42-year career politician. She is the poster child of what is wrong with our government. She is a vampire against the Constitution. Her life's mission is to set the Constitution on fire and disarm the American people. Now, when she's on TV 2 days ago arguing to people, calling them stupid and insulting them for saying, oh, we're not trying to curtail your Second Amendment rights. We just want to pass sensible gun laws. Well, hold on, reverse the tape. I've got her on tape on CNN saying that if she could get the votes, she'd take every gun, and she was quoted as saying, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn in your guns. So when the people that write these bills, and they dress them up as sensible gun laws, when you know that their ultimate goal is ultimate disarmament, then call them what they are. They are traitors against the United States Constitution. I don't care how high the office is they hold. I have no respect for them. They should be drug out into the daylight, and somebody better be standing there with a fire extinguisher, because I'm convinced if we ever get to drag some of them out, they're going to catch on fire when the sun hits them. The Department of Homeland Security, over the last 14 months, has amassed over 2 billion rounds of ammunition. I want somebody to tell me why in the hell a domestic security force that is on our sovereign land has 2 billion rounds of ammunition. We need to hold them accountable. We need to demand that Congress call out the Department of Homeland Security. I want answers. I want to know why domestic security force is armed to the teeth with billions of rounds of ammunition. By the way, 2 billion rounds of ammunition is enough ammunition to wage a ground war against United States citizens for 30 years. They've also recently purchased 3,000 MRAPs. These are militarized armored vehicles with gunners. Let me say that to you again. The Department of Homeland Security, a domestic security agency, has 3,000 armored vehicles on U.S. soil right now. They also just purchased 7,000 fully automatic machine guns. So we need to start asking everyone, our representatives, everyone that our city council members, our mayors, our sheriffs, hey, are you aware that the DHS has 2 billion rounds of ammo and 3,000 armored personnel carriers? We need answers, because there is no reason for them to have that. No reason. Not on American soil. Who are they at war with? Who are they preparing to go to war with? These are questions we got to have answered, in my opinion, as a citizen. We've got a police chief. I'm just going to give you a couple of things that I hope will inspire you, and I hope you share my sentiment, because I'm not done calling out some of the traitors that we have in this country. We got a police chief in Chicago named Gary McCarthy. Gary McCarthy is a chief for the third largest police force in this nation. He is on record as saying at a congressional hearing that law-abiding gun owners are agents of political corruption. I'm going to repeat that because it's kind of hard to understand that the first time. Law-abiding gun owners are agents of political corruption. He went on to say that the Second Amendment means we are only entitled to single-shot weapons with smooth-bore barrels. This man's interpretation of my Bill of Rights is dangerous, unbecoming of a civil servant, and he should be drug out of office right now with no benefits and put on the street and then tried for treason against the American people. Mark Kelly, the husband of Gabby Gifford, the Arizona representative that was shot in Arizona a couple years ago. Thank God she recovered, and I am very sorry that a maniacal, deranged maniac shot her. But nonetheless, it gave her far left-thinking husband a platform to go to federal hearings and be on your television stations in a 2-hour-long hearing where he got to hold the floor for over 42 minutes saying how no American needs an AR-15. No American needs an AK-47. 8 days ago, this man walked into a gun store in Arizona and bought a 1911 .45. On his way out the door, he bought an AR-15. The guy that owned the store recognized him, called the local media, and then broke the story. Captain Mark Kelly, who declares that you, the American citizens, have no right owning an AR-15, just bought one last week. I have the utmost respect for our military that have laid their lives on the line for our freedoms. And Mark Kelly was a captain in the Army. I have no respect for Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly would not be welcome in my home. He would not be welcome on my property. I don't care if he had 10 Purple Hearts, because he sold out the American people on gun rights and then turned around and bought an AR-15. He can, you know what, I can't even say it. Okay, double standard. We have people like, we have an Attorney General in Eric Holder who's on record. You can YouTube Eric Holder comments and you will see him going around to high schools around the country and I quote, telling congregations of children and teachers, we need to brainwash on gun control. That's a quote from him. We must brainwash. Why do we have people that we're paying with our tax dollars saying that they need to brainwash us? We need to remove them from their positions of power. Like I said, I got so much, I'm just picking and choosing on what I'm going to talk about because I have endless information. You need to be aware that 18 states are seriously considering or have already passed tyrannical, unconstitutional gun laws. I feel sorry for the people in New York. Right now, most of you out here that have a modern pistol, if you do, it probably holds 13 or more rounds. Any gun you buy, 9mm, 40 caliber, unless you're buying a compact 45, you got 10 plus. 12 plus 1, 13 plus 1. Yeah, that's all illegal now in New York, and if you get caught with it, you're going to be charged with a Class D felony. And for the record, that is a higher charge than aggravated sexual assault against a child. You now live in a country where you can rape a child and receive less of a charge than getting caught with a high-capacity magazine. That shows you how out of control New York is. Now, a lot of us, me being an East Texan, and I know people here in Louisiana are the same, a lot of us are walking around going, that ain't going to happen here. Let me tell you, it's going to happen. If we don't stand up and get the police and the sheriff's departments and the local politicians, if we don't get them to speak up and be on the side of freedom, it's going to happen. And your children will be enslaved, and your grandchildren are going to grow up in a technocratic, high-tech, militarized tyranny of hell and control. Period. You think of the scariest, most far-out scenario that you would think is a science fiction movie, and that's where we are going. There are some good things. I'm going to hop around. I've said a lot of negative stuff. You want to hear some good things? There are some good things. Nationwide, we got 300 sheriffs that are on record right now saying not only will they not enforce unconstitutional laws by Obama or Feinstein or executive order or otherwise, not only will they not enforce, they will stand in resistance with their citizens. And that's what we need. I don't know if these officers standing around here can hear me, but I hope to God that they know that they swore an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And by the way, we have a domestic enemy now. Period. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about in the wake of the shootings at Sandy Hook. In the wake of the shootings, we need to violate you. In the wake of the shootings, don't you care about the children? The only thing I want to hear that's prefaced by in the wake of the shootings at Sandy Hook is that gun-free zones are now illegal nationwide. Gun-free zones need to be illegal. It should be illegal for any place of business, public or private, to put up a sign that says this is a gun-free zone. Because what that does is that labels that area a victim disarmament zone. It guarantees that if somebody comes in there that's unstable and has a weapon, it guarantees that they will be unconfronted and they will be able to carry out whatever they want, and you will be like a fish in a barrel and you will lose your life. So I make no bones about it. I'm just to the point now where I challenge unconstitutional law. If I'm carrying, I carry in gun-free zones. So I'm breaking the law. I encourage you to do the same. You do not disarm yourself in a gun-free zone, because if somebody comes into a gun-free zone and starts shooting, you're either going to lose your life or you're going to spend the rest of your life wishing you were packing. This one's even better. We've got a sheriff in Pennsylvania, bless his heart. His name is Gary Kessler. He's the only sheriff in the country that has really said what needs to be said. Mr. Kessler put an open letter in the newspaper to his people in his jurisdiction, asking them to report to his department to receive firearms, pass a background check, receive firearms and ammunition, tactical training and fatigues, to serve in a reserve force in case they need to draw the line on federal officials. You know, we have a president that says that just by us being here, we are jetting up the fear, that we are imposing a fear on the nation of taking away gun rights when they're not trying to take our guns. How can we be jetting up fear when all we are doing is being engrossed in the fear that we recognize that our government is out of control? And like I said, it's not just guns. I'm working 70 hours a week. I'm self-employed. I'm losing my way of life because of the economy. I don't have a bass boat anymore. I don't have four-wheelers anymore. I'm a month behind on that Dodge sitting over there. I'm behind on my house. I owe my property taxes from last year. Like, I don't know where the next meal's coming from, and I work 70 hours a week. And I'm doing this, and so I'm stressed. And the whole country's stressed. Millions of Americans are in the same financial situation I am. But what is our government doing? We're giving $1.5 billion in assets and cash to the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. That is unacceptable. We just dropped off another $200 million in Jordan when our president was parading around there. How much money do you think DHS has spent on all their new military equipment? It is a known fact that gross tax dollars that are collected by our federal government each year, we give half of it away. Why would we do that? If our government gave a damn about us, why are they taking our tax dollars and giving it away to people that burn American flags? That needs to change. We need to stand up and say that that is unacceptable to us. I owe the IRS $1,100 from 2012, and they're sending me notices from 2011. Well, I don't have that right. I can't cough that up. And how sad is that I got threatening letters from the IRS in my mailbox every week? And look at what our government is doing with our tax dollars. They're using our tax dollars to disarm us and arm themselves against us and pass unconstitutional law. The men that formed this country, the founding fathers, the framers of this nation, are flipping over in their graves right now. You can bet on that. The principles in which this country were founded on are being eviscerated right before your eyes. And it is our responsibility as informed patriots to talk to everyone we can every chance we get. If you walk into a Wendy's to get a sandwich and you see a police officer eating a sandwich, walk over to him and ask him, where do you stand? I want to know. I want to know if I need to call you out as a traitor at my next speech, or do I get to send you a thank you letter and applaud you for standing with the citizens? You cannot be afraid. This is our country. It's our tax dollars. We are the people. It's not we, the government. Senator Chris Murphy out of Connecticut sent a letter to, and by the way, if I need to get off at any time, you just wave at me. Senator Chris Murphy sent a letter to Brian France, the CEO of NASCAR. The April Sprint Cup race at Texas Motor Speedway coming up is going to be sponsored by the NRA. which is a great thing because the winner at Texas shoots blank 6-shooters in Victory Lane, plus you get a Winchester rifle. That's part of the winner's package. So what more of a fitting sponsor could you have than the NRA? It's the NRA 500. In this letter that this representative sent to Brian France, told Brian France that he needed to remove NRA from the sponsorship of that race in the wake of the shootings at Sandy Hook. Now that may not be a big deal to you, but to me, just for doing that, that representative from Kentucky needs to be removed from office and tried for treason against the United States for trying to usurp our constitutional rights. Am I wrong? To go to DHS.gov and read a particular paragraph that says that if I believe in God and I believe in the right to defend myself, that I am a domestic terrorist. And I know I'm repeating myself, but you can't repeat that enough. If you believe in God and you believe in the right to defend yourself, you are a domestic terrorist. I guess we should thank them for that label. I don't know what else to do with that. Colorado Sheriff Terry Makita came out on record. In case y'all didn't know, they just passed a bunch of tyrannical and unconstitutional gun laws in the state of Colorado, standing on the graves of innocent children that were killed by a maniac, once again. Well, thank God for Sheriff Terry Makita, because he put his badge on the line and he came out and said that he was directly threatened and bribed by state representatives not to show up at the hearings and not to oppose the new gun legislation. He did show up and he did oppose it, but he came out afterwards and said he was threatened not to do it, and they threatened him with his salary. We need to pass a law in this nation, and this is not far-fetched. We can get this done. If a law is not constitutional, if a proposed law, if an idea of law is not in line with the Constitution, it should be illegal for it to even be considered. I shouldn't have to be here I shouldn't even have to address this, because these gun laws are not of the Constitution. Therefore, it should be illegal for any representative of government to try to propose them as law. They shouldn't even be allowed to even mention it. Before I use up all my time, I want to make sure I get the best part of what I've got for you in. So let me get this in, and then if I have a couple more minutes, I'll tell you a couple of more things. I know I'm a Texan. Like I said, I appreciate you letting me come and talk to you. And I may be late in the game here, but if I'm not, this should be well received. I've taken it upon myself. I have drafted legislation for the town of Farmerville. It's ready to go. It just needs to be voted on by your city council and signed as a resolution. These resolutions are meeting resistance by some mayors because we have these lazy, complacent politicians that say, oh, it ain't going to happen here, and we have no jurisdiction over state, so we're wasting our time. No, this is an information war, so we need to affirm our rights. We need to get aggressive with reasserting our rights. We need to be on television. If Farmerville passes this resolution that I have drafted for them, you will make the news. It will be on the news, and we need that. That sends a message. I'm not going to read the whole legislation, but I'm going to read to you the meat of it so that you know where I stand and what I would like to see for Farmerville and every country across this great nation. So I'm skipping through a lot of it, but here we go. This is your resolution. Now, when I leave here today, I'm going back to Texas, and I'm going to leave this with somebody here that will promise me that they will give it to the mayor, and that they will see to it that it's voted on by city council. Now, therefore, let it be resolved by the city council of Farmerville, Louisiana. The citizens and representatives and city council and the mayor of Farmerville hereby call upon all state legislators and elected officials to join with us in the affirmation of our rights under the Second Amendment. that all federal acts, laws, executive orders, agency orders, and rules or regulations of all kinds with the purpose or intent or effect of confiscating any firearm, banning any firearm, limiting the size of any magazine for any firearm, imposing any limit on the ammunition that may be purchased for any firearm, taxing any firearm or ammunition therefore, or requiring the registration of any firearm or ammunition therefore, infringes upon Louisianans' right to keep and bear arms in direct violation of the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. And therefore, any such law is not made in pursuance to the Constitution and is not authorized by the Constitution, and thus it is not the supreme law of the land, and consequently it is invalid in the state of Louisiana and shall be further considered null and void and to no effect in the city of Farmerville, Louisiana. You like that? Farmerville, Louisiana calls on other communities and jurisdictions to join with us in this action by passing similar resolutions. That copies of this resolution be immediately transmitted to the President of the United States, the President of the United States Senate, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, each member of Congress from the state of Louisiana, each Justice of the United States Supreme Court, the Attorney General of the state of Louisiana, the President of the Senate, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives of the Louisiana Legislature, each individual legislature that represents your district in the state of Louisiana, and the Sheriff of Union Parish. I've left this for y'all. Make it your mission to have this voted on by your council and be a town resolution. You will make the news by doing it. Before I get off, I don't even know how long I've been up here because I get in a whiteout when I'm talking about this stuff. Where am I at? You need me to be done? 5 minutes? 5 minutes, keep going? I love you, thank you. That's right, we need 10,000 people here listening to it. You just let me, Robert, just let me know when I gotta go. I myself, and like I said, we're struggling to make a living and make our way in life, and now we're having to deal with this. I mean, I get physically sick sometimes. I've actually gotten lightheaded and had to go lay down because I feel like I can't believe this is happening. It's just absurd. Honorable mention, every sheriff in the state of Florida, there's 67 counties, 67 sheriffs have issued an open letter to the White House saying not only will they not enforce unconstitutional laws, they will stand with their citizens in resistance. For a sheriff or politician to say they will not enforce unconstitutional federal laws should mean nothing to you. Any sheriff or politician that says, I will not enforce unconstitutional laws, is looking for a pat on the back with a commitment of nothing. We need sheriffs and politicians that say they will stand with the citizens in resistance if that means drawing a line against federal officials if they come into your state and try to enact unconstitutional law. Period. All right, I'm done. I'm going to quote a founding father and get off of here. Well, I'm going to quote one that I know by heart, so I don't have to read it. A free people not only ought to be armed, they should have sufficient arms and ammunition to defend themselves against any who would try to abuse them, including their government. George Washington. The strongest reason for people to retain the right to keep and bear arms is as a last resort to protect themselves against tyranny within their own government. Thomas Jefferson. And this is the best one, and in closing I will say, firearms stand next in importance to the Constitution itself. They are the American people's liberty teeth and keystone under independence. From the hour the Pilgrims landed to the present day, events, occurrences, and tendencies prove that just the atmosphere of firearms The atmosphere of firearms everywhere restrains evil interference. They, the firearms, deserve a place of honor with all that is good. Once again, George Washington. That's all I have for you because I know you got time constraints. I hope we do this again. We need to continue to do this. Y'all spread the word. And for showing up out here, I truly do love you. You're the real American patriots, and I'm glad you were here. And thanks for letting a Texan run his head at you.